Hello. Hello. Happy Saturday. Just want to do a quick Q&A before I head out, just because I haven't done videos in 2 days, so I figured say hi to everyone. I am in LA just for some business stuff and then for some personal stuff. Kind of burnt out after a bit, so yeah. Usually I ended up pre-filming a lot of stuff beforehand in order to make sure that there weren't any lulls, but yeah. Where am I traveling to next? Bora Bora is on the list for summer, maybe somewhere for June or July. Not sure. Bora Bora is like August-ish. What cards do I use for daily driver? I'm mostly hitting minimum spends because that makes the most sense for me, but use whatever card makes sense for you. Yeah, the QC35's version 1, because the version 2s aren't that good. And these, if you need headphones for traveling, if you travel a lot, these are like your go-to because they keep crying babies out of your head. And also they keep a lot of the airplane noise out of your head, which are pretty good. Even mine, I think I've used them quite a bit that they're starting to wear out. I'm considering getting a second pair. I'll show you guys. So like over here, you can see how it's like getting a bit destroyed. Good headphones, comfortable. So someone mentioned more lounge and hotel reviews. The main issue is I actually have a lot of stuff filmed, but I'm not, they don't do well on this channel. So I'm like, do I post them anyways? Do I make them shorter? Do I use a separate channel, which is completely lounge and stuff? Like I have stuff from Singapore from last year that I haven't posted because they don't do well and they take a lot more effort to make than just talking about cards. Is the CSR still worth it with the current nerfs? I would still get it for now. And again, worst case, downgrade it to Freedom Card. If it doesn't make sense, you always have the option to. Like the analogy I use so much is alcohol. So imagine if you went to a bar and somewhere was like, hey, you're allowed to have shots if you don't have too many drinks, but if you have too many drinks, you can only have beers. You might as well order the shots first and then do that. You can always go to beers afterwards. Um, if you have a million Amex points and you don't want to deal with traveling, yeah, I would do Schwab. Schwab at 1.25 cents rate. That's a lot. That's like $125,000 if you have a million points. 1 million, yeah, $125,000. So it works out pretty well. Is Mandy ever going to do videos again in the same way? My connection is unstable. Please wait while we reconnect. Ways to get free money to pay student loans. I don't think that's possible, but I mean, again, my whole thought process is if you're paying the student loans anyways, you can travel for free. Most people who are paying student loans probably want to travel. UK cards. So one thing that I get asked a lot is why I don't talk about cards from the UK or from Asia. And the main issue is so the US is in this super weird spot where the cards are very competitive. The only other two countries that are even close, and it's still pretty far away, is going to be Canada as well as Australia. And then if you look at any other country in Europe as well as in Asia, you don't really see that. In Europe, you do see a lot of 1% is pretty much the best bet. A lot of it is due to the interact fees. So there's a lot of laws regarding how much they can charge for fees. So again, if the banks can't make money, they're not going to pass it down to you. In Asia, you do see a lot of cards for food and stuff. So when I was in Singapore, you can get 15% back at a lot of different places. So that's pretty interesting. Might do Asia at some point, but we'll see. Um, 4 months of credit history, two secured cards. I would just wait for the 1 year and go for chase cards. There's no point adding more cards right now. Amex Financial Review, just submit the document to them and see what happens. More videos on how to redeem for premium flights. So I have a few coming up. A lot of it is just pacing it out. So again, with this channel, there's stuff catered towards, like, if in the consultations, there's people telling me that they run businesses, and again, like, it's coming from a business email, so it looks pretty legit. And I do some Googling. Again, they're spending, let's say, $100,000 or $200,000 on their card. And at the same time, there's a lot of students here who are also trying to optimize. So it's kind of a balancing act between the premium stuff and the more economic stuff. Marriott Plus are the new SPG. Get the Marriott first because it's $524, and the new SPG right now doesn't really make sense because the sign-up bonus isn't that good. So I would take the Marriott one. See more. What is the best card to warehouse Amex points if you have negative expected value in year 2 for the Platinum? So I think the everyday card is going to be the best bet. I think I've mentioned that, and I think I have a whole video on how the everyday card is a safe haven for your MR points because it's the only no annual fee card that earns membership reward points. That's a personal card. The Blue Business Plus card also works the same way. Does adding yourself as an authorized user for an old card, how I just wouldn't do that. I think that's like a weird territory. Like it will affect 524 because it should add to your accounts, but it's also just something that's weird to do to me. But which domestic airlines do you fly yourself flying the most? I fly Delta pretty loyally and wonder about the other ones being better. So in my experience, I like Delta, I like Southwest, I like United. A lot of people don't like United. A big part of United, though, is because I'm an SFO most of the time. So I think about like 40 something percent of the flights coming out of SFO are United ones. So yes, I could avoid it if I want to, but then that also means that I can only take like 1 or 2 flights out a day because there's not that many other flights. So for me, I tend to fly United the most. For this trip, I flew Alaska because it was a good deal and I used the Brits card. So coming down to LA, it was only about $25 per person. Do you think it's better to use SPG points before the August change and or save them for maximum value? I would save them for maximum value just because a lot of the changes have already been announced. So the transfer partners are sticking around, everything else is sticking around. The only use case I've seen a lot of people mention on Flyer Talk as well as Reddit is that for the packages. So if you want to pre-buy packages, the Marriott ones, that might make sense. I might do a video on that because it's a bit more in depth, but something to consider there for you. Three legacy carrier reward programs. The one thing is United and Delta allow you to waive the spend requirements. So with a lot of the other statuses, you need to spend a lot of money. So if you have a business account, if a client is paying you to fly out and you can fly last minute and you can fly business class, or you're getting those extra points, then that works out. But for normal people, I think United and Delta is going to be the best bet because at least you can get a status waiver. Otherwise, normal people can't spend the amount of money needed for like the decent status. Excuse me. Who is my favorite non-finance YouTuber? So the funny thing is I actually don't watch that many other finance channels on YouTube because I don't know, it's one of those things I guess where if you do a lot of research in the space already, you're not really interested in someone else's take of it as much. So ironically, I do watch Beat the Bush, but only for his food and travel stuff, not really for his personal finance stuff, because that's not that interesting for me. I also watch a few other gaming channels. So I watch MuseAlk for Fortnite. Philly D is a lot of my inspiration for this channel too. So a lot of the rapid hand moving is from Philip DeFranco and trying to make it more of a conversation rather than a presentation. But I have slowed down a bit more. It's now more of a presentation because I think the conversation aspect makes it too quick and hard to understand. Do you know anything about product changing Bank of America cards? I have the cash card. So technically, you're supposed to be able to change any Bank of America product to any other one. But when you call in, they sometimes have weird rules. So it's basically a hang up and call again game to see what happens. If you have SCRA, I would probably change it to one of the premium cards that have a high annual fee. So the premium rewards card, just because you might as well, because we don't have to pay anything. I would contact the SCRA office to see how that works, or your contacts, just because I don't have more information on that. And it seems kind of annoying that they won't tell you. Thanks, Adam, for the compliment. Yeah, the Uber one is pretty solid if you don't see yourself traveling, but it depends on how you're optimizing your stuff. Make sure to put your phone on it though, because I think you can get a lot of value there. What do I think of Chase Pay's future? I think a lot more places are going to start implementing it. Apple is probably going to do a play on that too. So I think the new Goldman Sachs Apple Card is really going to push on Apple payments because they want more people to use it. They want more people to have Apple products. If you think about it, I don't really think it's going to be like the Barclays card, which was more of a financing card. I think they're trying to be cool. Would it be okay to have two premium cards? Yeah, I mean, it just depends on if you get positive expected value. If you get value, then great. If you don't, then I would downgrade one of them or cancel one of them. Personal finance stuff. So how I organize my personal finances, I think a lot of it is just I tend to run everything through as unstable. Okay, my computer's dying in 2 minutes, so I'm gonna try to answer a few more. I think Lyft will come up with a similar card. We'll see what happens. I think Airbnb is also going to have another card. How has credit cards changed my life? I am willing to take, initially back in the day, I did not like traveling because I saw it as money that I could have otherwise invested. And now I feel like I can travel and not really feel bad about it. So that's kind of a nice thing. And also you can stay at places that you otherwise wouldn't stay. So again, the place I went to in March or February was Miraval, which is I think $1,600 a night. Oprah and like a bunch of celebrities stayed there. I would otherwise never pay for that because that's absurd to me. But again, I used 2 free nights for the Hyatt there, and that was pretty fun. I would not hold the PRG and the Platinum card at the same time for American Express unless you were getting value from it. I think it's hard to justify. I wouldn't. What is the minimum credit score for tier 2 card? I think for most cards, you're looking at 700 plus and you're good to go. You go for top tier, middle tier, bottom tier. Get to that 700 mark, prepay your cards, and you're fine. Ebates and Chase Ultimate Rewards double dip. I did not know about that, so I will probably look into that, Walker. Low battery. Your Mac will sleep soon unless it's plugged in. Southwest card is fine if you can use the free points. It's basically a break-even card to me. So the main problem with the Zelf Plus one is that there's no downgrade options, but you kind of break even if you value the points accurately. I think having a Chase account does increase your odds. In the past, if you had a lot of money in the account, it would really help. So back in the day, if you had at least $10,000 in the account, it would significantly increase your approval rates, but not anymore. Favorite city in the US to visit? Probably New York, just because I feel like it's such a different pace than San Francisco in terms of the energy, but that's just me. I would also like any other beach city. Sitting by the beach is nice. Um, yeah, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to just randomly pick ones that are easier to answer with 9% battery life. I will go to Cleveland if they love to go to Cleveland. Thanks, Luke. Time to go. Okay. Mandy's telling me it's time to go. So see you guys in a bit. I wasn't able to answer everyone, but hopefully this was helpful in some way. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps. Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys have a good Saturday and see you guys back on Monday. Should be back to a normal schedule. Bye.